Well, Merry Christmas everybody. As you can see, I'm getting into the festive spirit. I meant to make this video yesterday, but due to various family commitments, didn't get around to doing it on Christmas Eve. I've woken up very early, quite early this morning. I'm the only one awake in my household, everybody else is asleep. So I thought I'd take this opportunity for a bit of me time, have a nice Christmas cigar. And I'm going to talk about the Day of Reckoning card that happened in Saudi Arabia on Saturday night. Saturday afternoon, actually, in this country. First of all, brilliantly put together show. There wasn't one bad fight on there. They were all entertaining. Thoroughly enjoyed it from start to finish. There were a couple of surprises in there. A couple of shootouts. Really good. Really good night. We'll start with the only disappointment I'll say on it was the Hrgovic fight. Filip Hrgovic, who's been the #1 contender for the IBF heavyweight title for as long as I can remember. As soon as I saw he was on this card fighting Mark Demori, I thought, when you think a name rings a bell, and I thought, this name rings a bell. Why does it ring a bell? And I had to look him up, and then I remembered where I've seen him. David Hay beat the piss out of this guy, about six or 7 years ago. He was pretty woeful then. He hasn't improved much, and obviously the fight was stopped in the first round. I thought, now Hrgovic has been built up over the years as like one of the top heavyweight contenders. He's #1 contender for the IBF title and all this stuff and blah blah blah. I personally I've not been that impressed with him. He gets the job done against certain people. Obviously, guys like this, but the one step up he's had, in my opinion, was obviously Zhilei Zhang. And okay, he got the decision, but he struggled. He was put down, and he looked terrible. And a lot of people didn't think he deserved to win. I thought he just nicked it. But no, that was the only fight on here I thought, no, this has no place on this show. And it didn't mean anything. You have to excuse that noise. That's my neighbour's shower going off. So I'm going to step back for a sec. Next we had Frank Sanchez against Junior Fa. Knockout in the 7th. Now that was a good fight. Good performance. Frank Sanchez, I believe, he's one to watch. He will be. He's possibly carries on like this, getting better and better quality opponents. When the current crop of the top heavyweights have gone, he could be the man. So no, I thoroughly enjoyed that. It could be, I don't know, who knows, but we have to see. I'm going to be a very interesting spectator to see what goes on with this guy. Ajit Kabayel, TKO 4 over Makhmudov. Now this was the fight before when I was asked who I thought would win. I couldn't pick a winner, I really couldn't. It was a case of, in my opinion, whoever landed first would get it. Body shots were the weapon of choice in this one, and Kabayel again, another one who's one to watch. Now, Jai Optaia, the former IBF cruiserweight champion, current ring cruiserweight champion, he was stripped recently in a bit of a controversial decision, in my opinion. I was a bit sort of shocked by that one. I couldn't really work that one out, but he took a first round TKO victory over Ellis Zorro. Yeah, Ellis Zorro's decent enough. He's a decent enough operator, but it was a bit of a mismatch. Optaia, I think, is something special. He's another one I'm looking forward to watching his progress as his career goes on. I think he has the beating of most of the cruiserweights. He walked through Chris Billam-Smith, that performance we watched the other week, Billam-Smith against Masterneck, and he looked terrible, and he was getting caught. And Masterneck's an old pro, and a veteran, and Billam-Smith was getting outboxed and hurt quite a bit in that fight. It was only when the TKO happened. If you put him in with Jai Optaia, Optaia's going to walk through him, so that'd be interesting to see. Now, the three main, what I would class as the main fights in the heavyweight division that I enjoyed watching. Daniel Dubois took a TKO victory over Jarrell Miller, and I particularly enjoyed this fight. Now, in the build-up, I was picking Miller purely because of his size, and we don't know what was going on psychologically with Dubois. He's, you know, obviously, a few years back he was stopped by Joe Joyce with a fractured eye socket. There was the business against Usyk a couple of months ago. He was totally outworked in that box, and then there was the low blow that may not have been a low blow, blah blah blah, had him hurt and all that, and he didn't jump on him, and I found that a curious thing. And yeah, it confused me that his performance in that. I thought maybe he didn't have the desire or the heart to be an elite heavyweight, but in this fight, from the opening bell, he was going for it. He was all over. He was boxing intelligently and aggressively, and Miller, he was catching Miller with his jab, the right hand uppercuts. He took some back. A couple of times Miller caught him, and I thought, oh yeah, this Miller might start breaking his heart a little bit, but it didn't happen. And I, for one, am very, very pleased that Dubois got the victory, and he stopped Miller. Miller was stopped on his feet, but it was a good stoppage. Some people complained. I saw, oh no, blah blah blah. No, he wasn't fighting back. He was just sticking his tongue out and mugging and posing. And Dubois was just teeing off on the guy, and it's like, no, I know it was at the end of the round. It was in the 10th round, 10th and final round, but I thought it was a perfectly good stoppage. And hopefully this will rid professional boxing of Jarrell Miller, because I can't stand drug cheats. I hate drug cheats, especially in boxing where people can get killed. You know, boxing's a dangerous sport. It's the noble art. It's a very dangerous sport, as we all know. And when you've got pricks like that taking substances, you know, no, I don't like drug cheats. So hopefully Daniel Dubois has done the boxing world a favour, and Jarrell Miller will fuck off. He probably won't. He'll hang around. He's quite marketable because he's loud and brash and whatnot. But no, I'm very pleased. Sorry, that fucking noise is driving me mad. I'm very pleased with Dubois' performance. Then, of course, co-main event, Deontay Wilder against Joseph Parker. Two former heavyweight champions going at it. Oh, that's nice. Now, to be honest, in the build-up all along, I've been saying for years I've never rated Parker. Some people have thought that unfair. I found his WBO heavyweight reign very lackluster. I thought he lacked heart. I thought he lacked desire. Just my opinion, just what I observed over the years. And I thought Deontay Wilder, although he'd had a lot of inactivity and had only boxed basically a round in a couple of years, I thought eventually Deontay Wilder will catch him with a straight right, and that'll put him to sleep, and that'll be the end of that. But how fucking wrong I was. And I've been saying this all the build-up. I thought Wilder would knock him out sooner or later. How wrong I was, and how pleased I was to be wrong. Joseph Parker's partnership with Andy Lee has done wonders for the man's career. He boxed the perfect fight. It wasn't the most exciting fight to watch, I'll be honest. There was a lot of wrestling, a lot of hugging, a lot of missed punches, a lot of punches that landed but didn't land cleanly, in my opinion. It was a bit of a messy one to watch, but it was absorbing because you just kept waiting for Wilder to do something, and he didn't. Joseph Parker fought the perfect fight. He kept him at bay. He was pushing him back. He was landing his right at will at times, and Wilder just had no answer in there. Now, obviously, there's the question of ring rust. There's a question of desire. I think Tyson Fury broke his heart in both of those victories. I think age is playing a part, inactivity obviously, and I don't think Wilder has desire anymore, and I think this exposed Wilder for what a lot of people have been saying. Those who know what they're talking about have been saying for a long time. Deontay Wilder cannot box. He's a one-trick pony. He's the knockout artist. Don't get me wrong, he won an Olympic bronze medal in 2008, so obviously he has had some, he can box when he wants to. But professionally, he has just been relying on that big fucking right hand all along, and it's worked for him all this time. It got him the WBC title. He defended it 10 times. Opposition wasn't that great, but then again, during that period, the heavyweight division was pretty shit anyway. It's pretty shit now at times. There's only a few big names out there. And observation I made watching it, Wilder's legs looked, I know he's always had skinny legs, but they looked extra skinny in this fight. They looked like they were going to break. But no, Joseph Parker boxed the fight of his life, and I was super impressed with him. He got the unanimous decision. It was a virtual shutout. One judge had it at 120, 108. The other two, I think they gave Wilder a round or two. But what made me chuckle though when it happened, when the decision was, when they were in the ring waiting for the decision, Wilder raised his hand as if he really thought he'd won, and he looked disappointed when they announced Parker's name. He sort of turned his head like, "Oh man," and I thought, you can't honestly think you won that, Deontay. Honestly, you cannot really. From the way the fight went, he barely threw fucking anything. Anything he did land didn't really faze Parker, not really. And Parker was catching him at will at times, was bullying him at times, and shook him up a couple of times. So, how Wilder, I mean, the man's delusional, we know this. He accused his trainer of poisoning him. He said his costume was too heavy and all this old shit, and Fury was supposedly loading his gloves. All stuff that's been debunked. But him and his delusional fans, because although there are a lot of Fury fans out there who are very delusional, there are Deontay Wilder fans that are just as delusional, who come up with this crazy stuff. Even though you can debunk it and show them evidence, they will still scream and cry. But that's it, is what it is. Main event was a little bit lacklustre in my opinion, but which of course was Anthony Joshua. He got a TKO victory over Otto Wallin, the Swede, who gave Tyson Fury headaches in their fight a few years ago, 4 years ago now. AJ handled him with ease. He bullied him, outboxed him. He mixed his punches up from the head and body. Good right hand, left hook at the end of the fifth. He busted him up. Wallin looked like, in my opinion, he wanted out of there from the second round onwards. He didn't want to be there at all. Joshua knocked the confidence out of him. It was a good dominant performance, and it was the Joshua of old. We've not seen this Joshua probably since just before the Ruiz fight, the first Ruiz fight. I think Ruiz did a lot of psychological damage, as we know, and obviously we had the back-to-back losses to Usyk. But he's not looked the same since. I know he had a dominant performance against Pulev in 2020, but yeah, and this year, I mean, he looked terrible against Franklin. He won clearly, but he looked awful in my opinion, and he struggled with Helenius. Now, okay, there are other factors. Helenius was a late replacement for White, but he looked awful until he landed that big right hand in the seventh in that fight that ended it. But this one, he went in there and he wanted to dominate. So the question is obviously what's going to happen next in the heavyweight division, because obviously this was all supposed to be the big build-up for a big fight between Wilder and Joshua. Well, that's not going to happen next. It's unlikely to happen next, let's put it that way. Even Eddie Hearn said he felt sick when he saw that Wilder had lost. But this is what happens. Why they should have just put Joshua Wilder on. None of this, we'll have them on the same card stuff, we'll make loads of money. Because that's all it is. It's about making money, and I get it. It's business, and it's to build interest, and I understand this. But then a banana skin happens, like Joseph Parker beating Wilder, and then you're back to the drawing board. So it'll be interesting to see where Wilder goes from here. And Joshua, from what I've seen online the past sort of 24 hours or so, it looks like they're going to try and match him up with Hrgovic. And I think, judging on the performances in recent fights, Joshua walks through Hrgovic. He really does. But no, it was a good night. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you did too. Have a good Christmas, everybody. I'm going to let you all go. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.